I do believe there is profound unhappiness with bureaucracy, not just in Europe, but in the United States as well. That's a theme.
I think it's also a victory for democracy, as you say, that if democracy is designed to hurt a national identity, then neither one will last very long. I really believe that this is one of those times where the people stood up and said, we're not going to put up with these nonsensical micro-regulations that have nothing to do with my life, and it's decided by somebody I had no part in electing. And if you look at the Parliament of Europe is 736 men and women who've been elected for 5-year terms. Lord knows what they do all day.
Well, yeah, and, you know, it should be pointed out that, that Europe and the United States, they've been in a horse race over which area of the world can grow more slowly. So, you know, I should point out that besides President Obama, the world leaders who are for Remain and who have lost are Chinese President Xi Jinping, Angela Merkel, and the leaders of NATO, and they all urged Remain. And so that is a blow to them as well.
Louise Mensch, I believe you're still there. I'm going to read you a headline, which I don't think you're going to like. This is from Breitbart. You know, that is a news outlet in the United States. You know Breitbart, OK. Wait for it. Here's the headline. Britain votes with Trump against Hillary, against Obama. But the point, and I know you don't like this, Britain votes with Trump.
That is literally risible, and that's why people should read Heat Street instead of Breitbart, if I may say so. Donald Trump, I know he is loved by Fox Business viewers, and this will not be a popular comment, but allow me to give you the report from the ground. He is detested in Great Britain. However,
but wait a minute, Louise, we don't care about what the Brits think about Donald Trump. We care about what Americans think about Donald Trump. You're not going to vote.
You do, because you're Breitbart's writing articles saying Britain voted with Trump. Britain didn't care about Trump one way or the other. And I do think I should just say that Trump was cited by the Remain side as a good reason not to vote Leave. Luckily, people paid no attention. I should just say, though, that it really isn't about the micromanaging from Brussels. It's about macro-managing from Brussels. Whilst regulations about tea kettles are annoying, that is not why Britain voted to leave today. Brussels was taking decisions against our independence, including on, most importantly, migration, saying that there was to be no upper limit on the amount of people that could come in from Eastern Europe, and indeed migrants who've been granted citizenship, if they were granted citizenship, absolutely no upper limit. David Cameron went to Brussels, he asked for an emergency brake on migration, and Brussels said no. And that was the fateful decision that has led to our vote to leave the European Union today.
I can tell that I got to you with that headline. I can just tell I got to you there, Louise. I can tell. I know I got under your skin with that headline. So let me divert from you and go around the table here. What do other people think? What do you think? Look, the headline is Britain votes with Trump.
Well, again, I think there are parallels, and I think American voters will be emboldened to take a step that, again, every establishment elite thinks is terrible and has been blasting and so forth. So, but back to the immigration issue, it is interesting. Cameron basically promised the nation to bring immigration down into the tens of thousands. Last year, there were over 300,000 people who immigrated into the UK. And
net, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think, you know, so I think Cameron actually has some explaining to do, or maybe just weakened his position by not following through on his promises. Who does that sound like? I mean, we've had the same thing happening here, where we have been continually promised border security. It never happens.
That's well said. There is a parallel. There is indeed. Steve Hilton, hold on a second. I've got to get to Steve Hilton in before we lose him. Steve, I want you to respond to that same headline. Britain votes with Trump. Now, I know that you live in America. You live in California. What do you make of this headline? Britain votes with Trump.
Here's the parallel, Stuart. I think that what you're seeing in this vote today, just as with support for Trump, is people saying we have had enough of not being listened to, of being ignored by the elites, and we want power back over the things that matter in our lives. And it's a revolt against this bureaucratic centralization of power and the elites who think they know best and think that they're the ones who can just push people around and tell them what to do, and people have had enough of it. That's the connection. I do agree with Louise that Trump himself was not particularly a factor in the campaign, but it's exactly the same underlying reason for the result here today as you're seeing in the campaign that's propelled him to the Republican nomination.
All right, Steve Hilton, thank you very much for appearing with us today. We do appreciate it. We'll say goodbye to you. Everybody else, stay in place, please. What we've got is a British vote to leave the European Union and an extraordinary response on the world's financial markets. Our stock market in America is going way down. Back in a moment.